These are the 3 US credit cards every non-US business owner should have. Not 10, not 20, just 3. And these 3 cards are all that you need to maximize your ad spend and access US funding. Most non-US business owners have no idea which credit cards actually matter. They believe that they need multiple trips to the US. They think you need an SSN to get these cards, or they need to follow some complicated bureaucratic process to get it. That's why in the next few minutes, I'm going to break down the 3 credit cards that you need if you're a non-US business owner, you spend more than $10,000 a month on your business. Why do these specific cards matter, and why they all work together to unlock the full scope of the American financial system. Now, as a quick disclaimer, there are no income guarantees over here. Of course, this is for educational purposes only. I always advise you to consult with qualified professionals for your specific situation. We have no idea where you're coming from, or you can just get in contact with my team. So without further ado, let's get into the 3 credit cards. So it's really important for you to know as a non-US business owner that you're at an inherent disadvantage without these 3 credit cards. Most non-US business owners have no idea that these credit cards are actually available to you as long as you follow the first few steps. So I'm going to break down what you need before, and then we're going to talk about the specific credit cards that you actually should be getting. And if you just have these 3 credit cards, that's all that you really need. So as a non-US business owner, you should already have a few things such as your LLC. You should have an ITIN. You should have a business address, a residential address in the US. And again, I've got videos on the channel talking about how to get these different requirements. Of course, you can take a look at those videos. Now, it's important for you to understand why this is so important. American credit cards have the highest redemptions in the market right now, and it will stay like that for the next, I'd say, decade plus, because America is in a unique situation. It's got the strongest market in the world that allows you to access 6-figure credit cards, access to the best redemption credit cards in the world. And matter of fact, I was actually talking to someone from Australia, and they were actually telling me that they were lowering the value of the Amex points in Australia just from the fact that the economy is not doing as well in Australia. And this is happening to all of the economies out there except for the United States. They're increasing their annual fees by a bit, but they're maintaining that standard of high redemptions for their credit cards. Now, again, you might hear annual fees and whatnot, and you might be like, oh, JP, this might cost me a lot of money. Well, I've just got to say, if you're spending $10,000 a month, that's who I'm trying to speak to. I'm not trying to speak to people that are making less than that. And again, it all breaks down to the math. If you're spending more than $10,000 a month, based on the redemptions, based on the access to capital, based on the 0% interest credit lines, you can spend more money on ads. You can get more back for all the dollars that you're spending on those credit cards. As a non-US citizen, you already understand the value here. Now, I'm not going to be breaking down some Mercury credit cards and whatnot. These are the cards that you'll find at Chase Bank, Bank of America, at the biggest and most prestigious banks in the world. And we'll talk about the process over here. Now, before I was making this list, I was actually thinking in my mind, okay, cool. As a non-US citizen, what do I value the most? Well, firstly, as a business owner, I value high redemptions for my ad spend. I value no foreign transaction fees, right? So if I was to travel and whatnot, maybe you might be living in a foreign country. Again, most of my clients, they live outside the US, so they actually want this. No foreign transaction fees, and just that flexibility as a non-US citizen. If you spend a lot of money outside the US, you want to target those specific credit cards. So we kept that in mind. We made sure to get a good list. And again, all of these credit cards you can get with an ITIN. You do not need to change citizenships. You don't have to pay US taxes. You can do this with just an ITIN. So the first credit card that I would get if I was a non-US business owner, I wanted to access the best redemption credit cards, is the Amex Gold USA. Not the Amex Gold Canada, not the Amex Gold UK, Amex Gold USA. And the reason why this is the first card is because it's actually one of the easiest cards you can get to start off, as long as you have a relationship with American Express prior to entering the American credit system. And so basically the annual fee is around $250. The sign-up bonus is going to be massive. You're going to get 60K points after $4,000 in a spend. And again, like as a non-US business owner, you're spending probably 10K plus on ads already. That's easy to take cover. You get 4x back on restaurants worldwide. You get 4x back on ads, on software, on shipping and dining, right? So that's restaurants worldwide. And we made sure to keep that in mind because again, there are some cards that might be weird and they might say only in US supermarkets and whatnot. No, we're selecting the cards that give you the best rewards for your specific situation as a non-US citizen. You'll get flexible Amex travel partners for flights worldwide. So the Amex portal is one of the best portals that allows you to transfer your points between different carriers, right? So different airlines, Delta, ANA, Emirates, and British Airways. So those are the transfer partners. And so you actually also get access to really good payment terms, right? So if you're spending money on ads, and you look at the cash flow of the company and you might have a bad month or unprofitable month. There are also alternatives where you can pay that balance over time and get some Amex financing specifically for cash flow flexibility. So it works internationally. It syncs really well if you want to establish your Amex relationship in the USA specifically. Again, don't mix this up with Amex in Canada or other countries. Again, Amex in the USA is nothing like Amex in other countries. And that's one thing that I had to learn the hard way when I was traveling around with my Amex Platinum Canadian versus my friends that had Amex Platinums USA. And I was like, what the heck? Why are they getting better rewards than me? Why are they getting more upgrades and whatnot when they're traveling? It's literally because they've got Amex in the USA. So the purpose of this card is to maximize ad spend, ROI, and build business credit lines. And so interesting statistic that I saw a few days ago on some like article or something, it actually broke down that if you have good redemption credit cards, so like a really good one for ads and whatnot, you actually are increasing your profit by 5%. So again, this is not a guarantee, but I saw this on an article and I was like, damn, like 5%. If you've got a business that's doing 100K monthly, or not even that, you can do like 10K monthly in revenue, that's a pretty significant increase on the profit side. Like this is profit, this is not revenue, right? So now let's talk about the next credit card that I think you should have, right? And that is the Chase Inc. Business Preferred. So this is one of the best Chase business credit cards. When I talk about business credit cards, these are the ones that require a coexisting personal relationship in the USA. So the Amex Gold that I was talking about is the personal Amex Gold. There's a business Amex Gold, but personally, what I recommend is the personal Amex Gold, and then you get the Chase Inc. Business Preferred because Chase gives better credit limits. And so what you're going to have over here is a $95 annual fee. You're going to have a sign-up bonus of 100K points after $8,000 in spend. And again, it's super easy to cover that. And so the sign-up bonus is 100K points after $8,000 in ad spend. And so actually cool statistic is that our typical client within the first 6 months will unlock on average 250,000 points between Amex, between Chase, and that is just like free points, free money, so that you can go and travel on first class, on business class, and whatnot. You get 3x on ads, shipping, internet/phone, and travel. So this is great if you're spending money on ads. You get free employee cards plus phone protection, and it often comes with 0% intro offers. Basically, this type of credit card, typically, you'll be able to get access to significant credit lines. And with that credit line, you can utilize it at 0% interest. And so, for example, if you had 6 figures on that credit card, you wanted to purchase a property, you can literally use that credit card to put down as a down payment to purchase the property. Or if you're not like a real estate guy, like again, this is not really applicable to you, but you can use that capital and then pay it back within a few months' time or even a year's time, as long as you follow those minimum payments. But again, like this is super valuable, again, because you're not paying interest on that 0% offer. You get primary travel insurance plus cell phone protection, all of these different benefits that come along with the Chase portal. So you can transfer one-to-one with United, Hyatt, and Air Canada. And so this pairs seamlessly with the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is actually the next credit card that I want you to get, which honestly, in my opinion, is one of the best ones that you can unlock. And that is, of course, as I said, Chase Sapphire Reserve. And so the reason why you want to get this card is because it is actually one of the best ones when it comes to traveling, right? You use the Chase Sapphire Reserve, you'll pretty much unlock every airport lounge, a lot of different upgrades when it comes to upgrading your seat to business class or first class. So the basics here is the annual fee is around $550. Your sign-up bonus is between 60K to 75K points after $4,000 in spend. You earn 3x on travel and dining worldwide. You've got a $300 annual travel credit plus lounge access. You've got strong transfer partners for global redemption. And you also get access to this cool card called the Priority Pass card, which allows you to pretty much skip all of the lines in the airports and access really cool airport lounges all throughout the world. And so this is very cool. It turns all your business expenses into cash. I did say that I was going to have 3 credit cards, but I do want to talk about one bonus credit card that I think that a lot of people look at as an underrated bank. So one of the banks that I really like as a starter for a lot of non-US business owners is Capital One. Now, some people have bad experiences with Capital One because they might have the wrong details when they're opening up that bank account, but Capital One is quite flexible for non-US citizens starting to enter into the system, right? So I've had a lot of clients get access to Capital One credit cards even 100% remotely, which is great. And so the reason why I like the Venture X here, which is the credit card, the Capital One Venture X, is because it's got a low annual fee, which is $395. The sign-up bonus is 75K miles after $4,000 in spend. You get 2X on everything. You get 10X on hotels/cars via the portal, right? So hotels and rental cars. You get a $300 annual travel credit. And so it's actually easy to redeem those points and transfer them to Turkish Airlines, Air Canada. So it's a good universal backup if you want to just have that backup credit card. And so these are pretty much the credit cards that I would recommend as a non-US business owner for you to get. Again, like a lot of people believe that these credit cards are like not even accessible to them because they just don't even understand that you can get an ITIN. There's a whole legal process that comes along with that. But again, like I've broken down in all my other videos. So now that you know which 3 credit cards you want to target first, you're probably wondering about the actual process. Can you do this 100% remotely? Do you need multiple trips to the United States? What kind of banking relationships that you need to establish first? Because here's the reality. Knowing which cards to get is really like 1% of the equation. The main part is understanding the infrastructure that you need to create in order to get access to American financial tools. That's why I created a detailed breakdown on whether you can actually access the system 100% remotely. So click here to watch this video. I do not want you to be the kind of person that ends up traveling to the US, ends up realizing that they forgot to access certain credit cards, or even didn't know that they can do the full process remotely. So again, if you want full transparency on how this would look like for yourself personally, if you've got to travel to the US or if you can do it all remotely, click this video, watch it, and I will see you on the next one.